How? How does this happen? How do you get swept by the Minnesota Twins? 4-game series. Man, that's tough. Tough start to the season for the Detroit Tigers. They have now gone on separate 4-game and 5-game losing streaks, and it's only April 10th. This is, yikes. It's not looking good right now, at least on paper. I mean, I'll explain why I'm not necessarily ringing the alarm bells quite yet for the Tigers team, but this is not the way that this Tigers team needed to start the season. So, yesterday, final game of the series, you've got this guy on the mound.
Jack Flaherty
was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
And in this one, well, you got a good Jack Flaherty game. First 2 starts, typical Jack Flaherty meltdowns, but no. Pretty solid stuff in this one. Only run was a solo home run that he allowed to Josh Bell in the 4th inning, but that's it. 5 hits, 3 walks, okay, whatever, but 6 strikeouts, 5 2/3 innings, and again, only that 1 run allowed. So, good stuff for Jack Flaherty. If he was able to go an extra out, he would have gotten himself a quality start in this one. But what's painful in this one is when you have your back-end starting rotation guys, when those guys come through with great starts like this, you have to take advantage of those opportunities. Because obviously, in this series, you have not one but 2 outliers in a rough Tarek Skubal start, really just 1 isolated inning, a rare 4+ run inning allowed by Tarek Skubal, and then also an outlier start for Framber Valdez, who allowed 6 runs in the 1st inning in his start in the 3rd game of this series. Those are outliers. And then meanwhile, you have a game where Jack Flaherty actually pitches good, but that's when the bats go quiet, unfortunately. Just 5 hits in this one for the Tigers, which is a lot less than they've been getting in the remainder of the series. Even in some of the earlier games where, they were still only held, 2-3 runs, they were still racking up the hits in those. They just could not get that timely hit to drive in runs. This one, the hits were hard to come by, and it was a very good start for Mick Abel. 6 scoreless innings, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, and 4 hits. Nearly identical to the line that Jack Flaherty had, except for the Jack Flaherty solo home run that he gave up. But, man. Tigers did have their chances in this one. That said, they did have their chances. Couple base runners on in the 1st with nobody out, but then 3 straight outs. Not able to capitalize there. And in the 2nd inning as well, a walk and a single, just like in the 1st inning before 3 straight outs. It's tough early on. You're already wasting some of these opportunities. You had a couple doubles in the 3rd and the 4th. 5th inning retired in order. 6th inning, you had a Spencer Torkelson walk, but that's it. And then 7th inning, this is where the Tigers scored their lone run with 1 out. You had Jake Rogers hit by a pitch, and then a Colt Keith single that put Jake Rogers on 3rd. So you got runners on the corners with 1 out. And then a sacrifice fly from Gleyber Torres to bring home Jake Rogers. Meanwhile, retired in order in the 8th inning, and then the Tigers retired in order in the 9th inning. So, able to get some good base running on early, but not able to capitalize, not able to get that big hit early. Really is what did in the Tigers in this one. Meanwhile, as the Twins, besides that solo home run in the fourth, able to get to a 2-run eighth inning on a 2-run Brooks Lee single. So it's tough. I'm telling you, I think that my gut tells me that this team is just really out of sync right now. You have people talking about, the bats have been a problem for this Tigers team this season. I don't necessarily agree with that, although I will say there are some certain bats who need to step up who have not quite stepped up yet. And when I say that, I'm mostly thinking about Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson. These are guys that you really relied upon last year. Riley Green, while I do like his increased patience at the plate, it hasn't quite translated into the consistent hitting numbers quite yet. And it's funny I say that because I was all last year calling Riley Green the strikeout machine. But then this year, shown a little bit more patience at the plate, but at the same time, at least in the early returns, it seems to have taken away the bite from his plate appearances, if that makes any sense at all. So Riley Green has been underperforming. Spencer Torkelson has been underperforming, just a 184 batting average, 591 OPS. Kerry Carpenter, his first series or two were kind of below par, below standard, but he has been heating up lately. Kerry Carpenter has been playing well, but those are the main two that I'm looking at, is Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, two guys that really stand out to me as guys that really need to step up. But no, the biggest problem on this team so far this year has actually been pitching, which is the one part of the team going into the season that we were not concerned about. We thought that's where this team would be excelling. You got Tarek Skubal, you got Framber Valdez, Casey Mize. That's a solid top three guys in your starting rotation. Then Jack Flaherty, who is very hit or miss. I do like him better being a 4 or 5 guy in the starting rotation this season compared to last year being relied upon as being the number 2 guy. I don't think that was a very suitable role for him. A little bit too much pressure on him. So, and then otherwise, I mean, you do have Justin Verlander being the number 5 guy in the rotation, in my eyes, but with this early injury, been having to get Kiter Montero in there, who I actually really like as a pitcher. Nice, solid bridge guy, if you will. Couple spot starts for you. A pretty decent 6th starting pitcher, if you will, when he is required. But a lot of bullpen problems for this team. In addition to a couple of outlier bad starts from Skubal and Valdez that we had in this series. Also had a Casey Mize poor start in this series, which, I mean, can't really expect too many of those out of him as well, because he's a really solid player, a all-star pitcher last season. But the bullpen has not been good so far. Specifically looking at Will Vest, who has so far allowed 5 earned runs in 5 2/3 innings. That is not good, especially for a guy that's been your closing pitcher for the majority of the last 2 seasons. He needs to step up, and he has not been getting the job done in that role this season. Emmanuel De Jesus, I liked him in the World Baseball Classic, but he's been very poor so far in his first couple of outings. And then Drew Anderson, who that was a guy I was kind of unsure about coming into the season. This is a guy who hasn't pitched at the major league level in 5 years. So that was a bit of a curious signing as well. Granted, he did have a really good spring training, so I was like, all right, hey, maybe this guy is a little bit of an underrated signing. But no, as soon as we got into the regular season, man, he's been getting shelled. So Otherwise, Kenley Jansen, he does have a 540 earned run average. I mean, he's only gone 1 2/3 innings. You know, he inherited a jam the most recent game that he appeared in. So we haven't gotten much run with Kenley Jansen quite yet. But I think, honestly, a little bit of a hot take here. I think pitching is a little bit more of a problem than the hitting on this Tigers team. Because looking at the season overall, the Tigers are actually hovering right around, if not slightly above, league average in terms of batting as a team. But they're actually a little bit below average in terms of pitching, again, which is something that we did not expect from this Tigers team. Now, granted, I do think that with the team hitting-wise, I think this is probably something we're going to have to get accustomed to with the entire season. You know, you're going to have some of these games where you pop off and you get some pretty big run totals, 6+ runs across, but then there's going to be some other games that it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to even get 1 or 2 runs across. But when the Tigers were performing very well last season, and by proxy, that last 2 months of the season the year before when the Tigers made that improbable playoff run, the pitching was consistently good. Top to bottom, you were getting effective starting pitching all across the board, not just your Scoobles of the world, but you were also getting excellent bullpen work. As a matter of fact, resulting in that pitching chaos employed by A.J. Hinch in that playoff run 2 seasons ago, pretty much doing bullpen games in the playoffs because there was not a reliable starter at that point besides Tarek Skubal. So it just hasn't been there so far this season. And we'll see, maybe some of these guys like Drew Anderson, Jesus, if these guys keep struggling, maybe they get sent down. Maybe we get some of these guys in the minors to get a call up, get a chance. Will Vest, we'll see if he stabilizes. And then otherwise, a couple of these, 3 bad starts in a row from your 3 top starting pitchers on this team, in my opinion, Skubal, Valdez, and Mize. A little bit of an outlier, honestly. Inflates the team's, ERA and other metrics in the pitching category. So I think the pitching has not quite gotten to the point that it needs to be. I think the hitting is fine. Definitely need some of these guys to step up that we can't consider them young prospects anymore, projects, if you will. These are now guys that they're relied upon to perform day in and day out. And we need them to perform at that level, and they quite haven't yet. So it looks ugly so far with the record. 4-9, separate 4 and 5 game losing streaks. Not what you want for the Tigers to open 2026. That said, I think this team just needs to get in sync. These games that the pitching is on point, those are the games that the bats really need to strike. And then, of course, if they are pitching very consistently well, then we have no concerns those games that the Tigers do pop off and get 6 runs. Looking specifically at some of these losses they've had, the 8-6 loss 2 games ago to the Twins, and then the 7-5 and 9-6 losses first 2 games in that Diamondback series. So I think this Tigers team is fine. I think the pitching needs to get back on track consistently. And then the hitting as well. Couple spots there, but I think for the most part, the hitting, I'm not sure what more you can do to improve the hitting at this point besides acquiring somebody else, getting talent from elsewhere. Hey, you never know. Max Clark, he's off to a pretty good start in AAA, so maybe he gets a look at some point this season. I was not particularly impressed with him in spring training, but we'll see. The Tigers, I think they'll be fine. They're starting a 3-game series tonight with the Miami Marlins, and they're then at home again Tuesday through Thursday next week. Their second division series of the season against the Kansas City Royals. We'll see if the home cooking at the friendly confines of Comerica Park will help this Tigers team get back on track. And who knows, if they have a lot of success the next 2 series, I think we're going to be forgetting about this Twin series right here. But it's about the team getting on the same page, getting in a groove. I think this Tigers team is going to be fine. 6:40 first pitch tonight for the Tigers and the Marlins right here on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.